It's exciting and it's lots of fun.
Massive income from passive income. The point is not to work, it's to generate income.
Yeah, babe.
I was just going over a little bit of stuff that I've done recently, and I stopped by Burger King because I was on the way back from Boston, dropping somebody off at the airport. Yes!
Yes.
What I did was I had the Impossible Whopper.
Awesome.
And
Getting you healthier and healthier every day.
thanks to you mentioning it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you didn't tell me about the vegan mayonnaise.
It's all good. They don't have vegan mayonnaise yet at Burger King, so I usually get it with just the ketchup without it. But every step is better. You just saved a ton of water for the planet, and you also saved a cow's life. So there you go.
And who knows, carbon dioxide or methane gas, whatever the cows are emitting from being too fruitful or too many of them.
Yeah. I didn't even know, I told you I went vegan for my health. And I really didn't have like one of those attitudes about a carbon footprint or any of that stuff. But now that I'm so obsessed with Tesla, and being vegan, and when I say vegan, I need to explain that. I still own some leather shoes that I bought beforehand. My car has leather seats. I make an intention to not buy those kind of things now, but I'm not like, I guess somebody might say I'm not technically vegan because you have to not be using any of those products, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it's okay to not be wasteful also. If you've already bought a animal product, it'd be actually wasteful to discard it. So
But I did mention to you that the Tesla has vegan leather. So when I trade in my car for my Tesla, I will be even more towards that goal. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Speaking of Tesla, there's a company out there called UID.
Okay.
And I'm thinking they're going to fly us around in something like this.
Right?
Where I would be cool if I traded in my wheels for these. And since we're talking about Tesla, little recovery this week.
Well, but Tesla is going to have your VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing jet. So that's going to be that.
I'm pretty sure it looks like this. We get in there. There's like a little person sitting on the top here, and it goes all over the place.
Yeah. Now mine's going to be the VTOL, and it's going to be a Tesla, and it's going to be autonomously driven. So you don't need a pilot. You just get in, you tell or you type in where you want to go, and it just takes you there. That was awesome. That's awesome.
Still working on the details. All right. Cool. So you've read Set for Life?
Yeah, I'm actually listening to it right now on Audible.
Mike, it's everything.
Most amazing book ever.
Yeah, we were talking about wealth and building wealth for so long, and I feel like just going back to the basics would be fun. Like we talk about complex strategies, talking about big investments, and the stuff we do in the stocks. Like this book really does state like you don't belong doing any of this until you've got over that $100,000 mark.
Right. And he gives you a simple path to do it, and he's, I guess you tell me, he's like a C, right? Wouldn't you say the way he's very direct, he doesn't sugarcoat any of it.
Right.
Which makes him a C to me. He's like, this is kind of like you said when Ron goes in to close a deal. He's like, this is how you do it, and this is the end of it. So I'm listening to it now on Audible because I wasn't reading. I read a lot of it, but I wasn't finishing it. And anybody who's under 30 years old, that should be the first book you read because it's such a clear path. Like start with a couple of $1,000, move to 25, move to a 1 year, take a runway, and then be set for life like he was in 7 years.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And it helps you get rid of like all the mistakes. Like I had at one point, actually, even our company now is probably, we spend about $35,000 a month to get by to that's just the cost of operations. But I remember a point where it was somewhere around this, maybe 25,000. And we were heavy. Like we're still heavy because we just did a big purchase, but we're about to lean it out with the refi. But I remember, yeah, like really lean it out, like save almost $8,000 a month. But there was a point back then where before I'd really built up business, because that's what stage 3 is. Before I'd really
Yeah.
built up business and got a lot of income, I was retired at 30 from just really decreasing my expenses so low that it didn't matter. My runway was so easy. And it's funny that 25,000 was the number he said. 25 was the number I had in the bank. When
Nice.
I really went after, when I quit my job. I had 25,000 in the bank, and that was going to cover me almost a year and a half because I'd gotten my expenses so low. I was house hacking, lived in a multifamily, owned a 2-family, and it was, I think my expenses were down to like $1,800 a month. And it was like a very long runway, so it was no big deal. Right before all the shit hit the fan, before the divorce went down and
Yeah.
it became a problem. But that was right when I'd started my real estate.
Right.
I started that real estate business because I had a year runway to figure it out, go do your thing. And it's that little piece I don't think we talk enough about. People quitting their job. Everybody comes to us saying, how do I quit my job? I want to jump into real estate.
Yeah. Well, I'm older than you, obviously,
A little bit.
and
I got less hair than you.
yeah, and I when I listened to the book, the one reaction is, damn, I wish I had done this when I was younger. I wish I had a book like this, but I don't even know if I would have had the maturity to read it and stick to it. So like the other part of me says, anybody who's under 30, I want them to read this book, but more than just read it, because you read so many books. This one, I would say, if you read this book and treated it like a course where you took notes on it and really made sure it sunk in. If you could do that, where it would, all the little steps sink in so that you do those steps, oh my God, you before 30 would be way ahead of where I kind of fell into this later. You would be so further down the line at that point. It's just an amazing book. Set for Life, Scott Trench. Yeah.
I love it. Wow, look at it, like a commercial, Mike.
Yeah.
Phenomenal job. Set for Life, Scott Trench. Take the book. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Even the way it's set up in Audible, like you have each chapter. I was like, dude, we could teach a course on this, and it would be the ultimate course if I could get just a handful of coaches just teaching this. Like run the coaches through it. And
that's such a great idea, because really all it is, I guess my point is, all it is accountability. Okay, yeah. So now you can read this book and say, wow, that's a lot of really good content and interesting, like every other book we've read. But if you actually treated it like a course, and that's what a Walter Amarello does, is sit there and says, well, it's not just read the book and then tell your friends you read the book. It's actually sticking to the steps.
Yeah.
And in Science of Getting Rich, he says you don't need to read any other book besides Science of Getting Rich. A totally different subject, But I think that if you took this book and you were in your 20s or even 18, like I always think of Melanie Santos's son.
Yep.
He's like landscaping dude. If he read it, he's under 20.
Yeah.
I think that you could just not read any of the books. Like everybody keeps talking about the next book and the next book. If you just read that one book and stuck to the things for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
You would be so far on your way. I wish I had the maturity to find a book like this when I was younger. I'm happy. I'm very happy where I am, but oh my God, this book just blows my mind. I guess that's my point. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny because, you and I talk about how many books we've read, and we're always sharing books and the courses that we've been to and the trainings we've taken and, the businesses we've run and all this experience and deals we've done.
Yeah.
And it comes down to, like, that book is so freaking simple. Like, The Path to Wealth is so freaking simple. It's just do this, cut your expenses, save up some money, and these are the investments you should make in this order. Don't jump into the stock market yet until you've got, hundreds of thousands. Until then, it's a house hack. You've got a house hack.
Right.
And he even says it in the end. He's like, New York, San Francisco, and like LA or something like that, or Miami. He's like, okay, your cities don't count. But if you're anywhere else in the country, you get a house hack.
Yeah.
And it makes financial sense.
Yeah. The guy, David Green from Bigger Pockets, talks about house hacking in San Francisco where he is. So you could even do it there.
And I know people doing it in Boston, so it is possible.
Yeah. And I keep hearkening back to the fact that he's a C personality because it really, this book I am sure would speak to the C's. And I guess that's my frustration that I'm a high I, but I feel like that a C would look at this and say, oh, here's a simple path to wealth. It's just like it says, set for life. And if you were someone like Iran, you wouldn't be emotional about it. You would just kind of tick, 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 take out all these little steps and just do it. And boom, you're on your way. That's just amazing.
100%. And it, like, wealth, like, this is what frustrates me the most is I have so many family members, so many friends who are on this journey called life, and they're suffering, hate their job, they hate their lives, but they'll be like, but I'm happy. And it's like, you're happy on Saturday, right? And then even Sunday you don't enjoy because you're like, fuck, I gotta go back to work tomorrow.
Monday, yeah.
So for like a few hours on Friday night and most of Saturday, and then maybe the Sunday morning, there's this excitement in your life, but then everything else is like, well, I guess I just got to show up.
Yeah, I noticed that me personally, I used to have that Sunday night depression. Like I would be totally bummed out. And I think I said to Brenda recently that I don't have that anymore because I love what I do and I love all the stuff that's going on. But for the longest time, I couldn't see a path to getting out of that 9 to 5 and in a job that I really didn't enjoy. And now I have that freedom and oh my God. So I don't just have the Friday night for a couple hours and the Saturday. Yeah, sometimes the weeks are more exciting than the weekends because we do such cool things.
I see. Did you get to hang out with me, Mike? Is that?
Yeah, and also just looking at properties. I got people in the mentorship who want to do deals with me, and it was kind of cool because speaking of like Science of Getting Rich, I kind of said that that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to find a high C, and next thing you know, like 3 high C's showed up and wanting to partner, and that's the fun of it. That was my epiphany from your wealth principle last week. Is like find a partner, and all I did was put in the chat that I was looking for my Ron, and then people who are like Ron were like, yeah, I'll do it with you. Why not? Exactly. And I think that I have a lot to offer, and with that kind of combination, we're unstoppable. So it's cool.
100%. Yeah. 100% unstoppable, because you're using your gift as the front side. They're using their gift as watching all the back and tying it together. Speaking of partnerships, we are selling 6 of our buildings in.
Yeah, I heard. That's awesome.
So I sent out the link to everybody in the mentorship program, so everybody has access to the 6 different properties. We're willing to.
That's not the condos though. That's
not the condos. So we're keeping a lot of the condos. We're selling 8 of those. We're keeping a lot of condos, and probably one of these buildings we'll keep. So our goal is at the end of this, we want to get down to 25 paid off units. This is
nice.
Free.
And what's your reasoning? What's your rationale for doing this? You going bigger or?
Set for life. 100%. It's set for life. Just making sure that we have no debt whatsoever. We have all the cash flow, and going forward, we've never needed our own money to do deals anyway.
Nice.
So we can always scale. We can go large. We have a credit line now, $3 million credit line. So we're not.
Like that? Are you closed on that? Are you all set? What?
Not closed yet. Sensitive topic.
Yeah, because I talked to him as well, and I guess this was my fault. But Brenda sent him the documents, and then he never received them. Maybe it was because it was from her email.
Okay.
So I'm just curious about how long that takes because I have the same deal going.
Same deal.
Thanks to you. It's pretty cool. If you think about this all like this, okay, so you take Walter and Ron, and you, what's the word they use? It's not mirror, but you...
Model.
Thank you. Model. I wonder why in the Sears catalog they used to go like this. Like, what were they looking at?
There must have been an angle. There must be something to do with the angle.
So anyway, so like I was just saying, I need a C, and I wouldn't have even known that I needed a C. I would have been complaining that I don't like looking at numbers. I mean, I'll look at numbers. I'm not saying that I won't, but I really need someone who's going to crunch the numbers and really take a close look at that. So I'm modeling that from you guys, and then and just kind of the ratcheting up, same idea, and also getting the line of credit, just sort of like a mini, same idea. Um, and actually, another thing I did is that I I reduced my margin on my stock account.
Me too.
But I did it in such a way now that the value keeps going up. But
Yep.
now I have so much less that I've got a lot of, I sleep better at night.
100%.
I've got money available to do things I want to do, and the portfolio is taking care of itself. So it's very, I feel the same way you do. You sell those properties, you're going to feel good. You're going to just have a lot of money and ready to go.
Yep.
And yeah, so it's kind of cool. I did want to ask you something. So
Yeah.
I can take my own money. I noticed that you and Ron don't really take your own money, even if you have it. And is there a percentage or a number that in other words, I could borrow money for like a down payment at like 12%, something like that.
Yeah.
But if I borrowed, say, from a safe margin, it's a much lower interest rate.
Right.
So my question is, when do you decide? In other words, you guys keep your money in reserve just in case there's an issue.
Right.
It's back there. But in this case, I'm saying, well, that's all wonderful, but you got to pay somebody else 12% and 4 points.
You've got the right idea. We've actually never even ventured into that concept of using a margin account to borrow against, but you could have your assets, right? So like he says in Set for Life, you have your funds, not funds, they're index funds. They have your index funds, like a bond fund and a stock fund, international and national. And you could then margin against that because they're low volatility. Those stocks are low volatility, so your margin maintenance would be low. And you could use that for down payments.
But so here's my point. Let's forget about the stocks because I know like people like Ryan McDermott's head's going to explode if he hears that we're doing that kind of thing. I'm not picking on him. I think that he's a very good financial advisor, and I think most financial advisors would have a problem. It's too risky. Well, let's just say I've got a line of credit on my house, which has got tons of room to run. Okay.
Yep.
So now I could take, let's say, $100,000, and I could use that as a down payment on a property, and then get a hard money lender for the other 75%. Okay. So you got 100,000 from you, 300,000 from the hard money lender, 400,000. Go in there, do like a BRRRR strategy, fix it up, refinance, get your money out, put it back into the HELOC. Okay. So here's my question. It seems like you and Ron don't do that. Like you don't take your own money. And what I'm wondering is, like, my line of credit right now is at 2.75%. So I would be borrowing at 2.75 versus if I go to a hard money lender, I'm borrowing at, even for the down payment, second position, whatever, they're going to charge like 12%. What's your thought on that? You'll just pay that money?
No, you got the right idea. I think that with a credit line that cheap, it makes sense to use it. So you got to remember, Ron and I's properties have not aged the 2 years that they require for a HELOC. So, and we have no personal residences. So we're not using our personal homes in any way. We rent where we live, and everything else is investment properties. So,
but you have cash reserves. Okay, you have, let's say you have 100,000 sitting somewhere as a cash reserve.
Yeah.
Which means you would pay
a little
zero.
higher than that. We keep about 10% in reserve.
Okay, so call it 200,000. I'm just saying you have 100,000 that you could buy a property with.
Right.
But you choose to use other people's money, even at a higher interest rate, and that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, and we've run our own money into a deal. If we know we're going to raise the capital, pull our money back out, that reserve is very powerful. It creates you options. It creates you flexibility. I strongly encourage using other people's money, but I strongly encourage your own money in the beginning for sure. and leveraging. It's just that at a certain point, we want simpler money. And what I get in my dividends, I really like that money. And so anytime I have really cheap money, I run it that way because I couldn't, if I borrow 12% money, getting a 12% return is never going to pay me back. So we use real estate has the ability to really bring back good returns.
Yeah.
Whereas our other simpler forms of money, that's where I'd rather earn my money from. Ultimately, I'd rather have, $10 billion, $10 million sitting in a stock account. That is by far easy life. Ron and I are looking to create is $1 million in our stock accounts right now. Just getting it so it's passive income, bringing in $150,000 a year, running off of that at a nice high interest.
What is that? That's all dividends, or you're just talking about what you?
That's dividends. That'd be just dividends. Obviously,
I really don't. You and I both watched that Chicken Genius. I don't really have a lot of dividend stocks.
You're building wealth. You're still in building wealth phase.
Yeah.
Right. And we are.
My father was talking about his account. He's like, what did he say? McDonnell Douglas or one of these jet makers. He's like, it's crazy. I've owned it for 20 years and they pay dividends monthly and it's crazy the way it builds.
Yeah. I love and there's even an ETF that you can get that's 30 high yield dividend stocks that are low volatility, which is, just let them manage it, right? I happen to manage my own because I have fun with it. I genuinely enjoy the research and the work, and I get a better return because I'm doing that. But if you didn't want that return, you can go in for, get a 13% dividend yield just by having that diversity.
I got to tell you a funny story. So there's this stock out there. It's called Nano Dimensions, NNDM. This is not stock advice. This is just my account. You'll hear why this is not stock advice in a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was clearing my accounts and selling some stuff just to reduce my margin. And if you buy penny stocks, it really eats at your margin. So I sold the company. And what I usually do is I sell a company, and then the next day some news will come out, and I'll just sit there and lament that I didn't keep it and be like, oh man, and all this stuff. But I will just keep complaining.
Right.
Okay. So the very next day after I sold it, like $1.60, and I did make a little bit of money on it, but it's a penny stock, $1.60 a share. I was listening to this guy I follow on YouTube, and he said, ARK Invest, which already owned the stock, NNDM, just bought a bunch more. And as soon as he said that, I said, you know what? I know I missed a run up of like 34 cents. Okay, so I missed it. I said, but I don't give a shit. I said, I am not going to sit here and whine and complain about this. And sure enough, I bought back in. I bought a little bit more too to make myself feel better. And last time I checked, it was like $3. So it went up crazy. It was awesome. Let me check.
Mike, let me ask if you did what you're supposed to do, which is sell out some of that. Sell out the gain. Have you sold out the gain?
No, not yet. So it's at $2.78, and I bought it back at $1.90. So, think about that. A penny stock.
Yep.
And I went really long. I bought $1 million worth of it. So, no, I'm kidding. I did not.
1 million shares. $10 later.
Well, that's big. No. Anyways, so so I bought back in, and I feel good about it because the thing is
$1 million of it.
Could you imagine?
You just made
How
much would you made? You would have made over $1 million.
Yeah,
No.
well, that's what happened with that Novonics stock.
Yeah.
I bought it 60 cents, and I bought 55,000 shares. That's what I hold, like 55,000.
I was holding 20,000.
Yeah.
So nice.
So I go into my Schwab account the day that it went up, and it was even at like $3 and something. It was
almost a $30,000.
Over $100,000. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And it's and Brenda's like, after it went back down, Brenda's like, because I always say, hey, it's just a learning experience. I don't know why I don't. Maybe because my father's always traded stocks, and it's always been in the house, and we always see, and they go up, they go down, whatever. Or maybe it's like money. Like I love money, and I love what it does, but it's not life or death for me, like that type of thing. But I was like, well, it's just a lesson learned. We learned a lesson. You know, I obviously said "son of a bitch" a couple of times. You know, son of a bitch. But,
me and you both, Mike.
Yeah, but she said, "I'm sick of the lessons. Can we just make money?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're absolutely right." So when this NNDM went up, I was like, "See, I jumped back in, and I'm all good." So.
Yep. So
Yeah.
make sure you cut some of those
Right?
gains. Pull some
Yeah.
of the gains off the top. Just take
Yeah.
it. You'll feel good about it, even if it's
Yeah,
a
and
little
that's
bit.
the extra 1,000 shares that I bought this time in this. I can just
There you go.
sell
Burn
those.
those.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
I set my limit sale order on Novonic.
Novonics.
So I set it at $2. I was like, you know what? If I double my money, I'll
Right?
cut a piece of it out and
Yeah.
I'll leave the rest in, and then I'll just let it ride.
So here's another. This is kind of a funny story too.
Yep.
So I'm doing all this research on the other one, Lake Resources, and they've
been going up and down.
Lithium brines, okay?
Lithium brines.
And as I'm doing research right before Battery Day, I find this company in the United States through one of these guys talking about Tesla, some sort of connection, thing like that, called Piedmont Lithium, something, PLL, okay? So I put it on my watch list, okay? And then Elon's talking Battery Day about how they can get so much lithium right there in Nevada next to their battery factory that it's not a big deal and it's easily comes out. And I said, well, Piedmont can't be the deal that they're doing because Piedmont's mines are in North Carolina. Okay.
Right.
So yesterday or the day before, they signed a 5-year agreement with Piedmont, Tesla with Piedmont.
No way.
To buy, and it went, it's come back a little bit, but it went from like, I think it was like $8 or $9 all the way up to like $40 a share. And it was in my watch. It was in my watch. I was like, oh no. And Brenda's like, I'm sick of these lessons.
It is.
That's why I'm keeping Lake though. So
I love it. I'm keeping Lake because if I lost it, I'd lose it. But I'd rather see the thing go up, and I think it's going to be a good gain.
Yeah.
The same with Novonics. I'll cut my losses, whenever, and I'll be house money with that. So
yeah.
Totally.
It's
funny.
I think Novonics, my prediction,
Yeah,
is over the next 3 years, we will see, if you just hung on to that position, I know it affects your margin, but I think if you held on to that, I think at some point, legitimate, not just like a rumor with Tesla, that Tesla might buy them or something like that. Legitimately, that company, in my opinion, again, this is not stock, I'm just hanging on to stock advice, hang on. I think that you're going to see that company run up there. They're a very, very well-run company. They have amazing connections all throughout the industry, and I
think so.
It's a good risk. Why not?
I agree. I think it's a good risk, and I'm willing to put money on it. I already have that.
Yeah.
So I think I've mentioned it before. I have the 2 accounts. I have my account where it's my Itchy Fingers account where I trade around, I play games.
Yeah.
And then I have my long-term holds. And what I actually recently did, Mike, was taking the advice right out of that book, was I just bought 2 big funds. One is BND.
Oh, yeah.
Bonds. I think Vanguard puts it out. And then the other one is VT, which is Vanguard full world stocks. It's like 8,000 stocks. It's a full mix, fully weighted based on what the index holds.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going to put all of my retirement money. It's like literally like as we sell buildings and put the cash back into stocks.
Yeah.
I'll be putting a large chunk there.
Yeah, that's the simple path to wealth.
Set for life, simple path to wealth. Yep.
I told my daughters who they opened up a retirement account with Schwab.
Yep.
And I just said buy VTI or VOO, which are both Vanguard.
VO, yep. Phenomenal.
Those are total in there because it's a shareholder-owned company. Vanguard's fees on the back end are much, much smaller than these other companies out there. So they do that and they put money in, and it's like something like what you could put like $6,000 a year into that. And if they put that in every year, and I think I'm going to help them at the end of the year, just kind of like if they only get to 4,000,
little bump.
Give them so that they get it every year, because the most powerful, was it Albert Einstein, the most powerful force in the universe is compound.
The eighth wonder of the world is compound interest.
Yeah.
Yep.
So awesome. I
I
love that.
I like it, and the whole strategy. So my income, dividend wise, can be supported with my dividend stocks, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm already looking at them. Okay, my dividend stocks can support everything that I want, but I'll put 1/3 into those, and then 2/3 into these safer, bigger, long-term appreciation plays. They
Nice.
do pay little dividends. You get a decent dividend off of
Yeah.
VT, which is similar to VTI,
Yeah.
uh, and you get a similar dividend off of the bonds. And so it's like, okay, you're getting a little bit there. Obviously, my mortgage-backed REITs and MLPs and
Yeah.
uh,
You also,
gas
how old are
companies
you?
make more.
You're 34?
34.
34. Yeah. See, so you got that nice long runway um, of like 40 years, 30, 40 years, something like that.
I like to look at my financial life as if I was a 70-year-old looking at, oh my God, I can't work anymore. So
Yeah, well, you
every
get those dividends. It's kind of
yeah,
cool. Just reinvest them for now, and at some point you don't reinvest them.
100%.
Yeah.
And so that's how I look at my life is I've got a piece that's like, okay, I could retire again tomorrow. Like I could just every stream of income I build should be retirable. Like
Yeah.
every stream should be like, okay, I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
And that's it's just a
That's
bunch
my
of
game
streams.
plan too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm working, like even with this business because the closing business moves on to the real estate business, and I'm thinking about doing like fix and flip business as well. So all of those are just, if you can have the last one run by itself, you can move on to the next one. So
Exactly.
that's the cool part. So.
You've got it. They all trickle down. They all stream because they're automated.
Right, exactly.
So now you're at the part of life, right, where the book talks about your phase 3, just increase income. How do I make more? How do I make more? How do I
So
make
good.
more?
And
So
he just became the CEO of Bigger Pockets. That's not a bad way to increase income.
that is not a bad way to increase
Yeah,
income.
so awesome.
So it's 3 phases in life. This is what I broke down is the first one is simplify and save, right? Cut back. Make sure you get at least a $40,000, $50,000 an hour job, but cut back all your expenses, save. And then as you're getting to that savings, once you hit the $25,000 mark, you jump into phase 2, which is buy a house hack, buy rental property, the house hack. Somebody else is living in the house that you're living, or it's a 3-family and you're renting everything out, so you're living rent free. Get rid of your biggest bill.
Like a lot of our mentees are doing now.
Almost everybody in the program is doing that right now, buying their first house.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, looking back, like Brenda and I are on like a 10-year decluttering.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's stupid stuff like Christmases and toys, and the kids don't play with them. And so if I could stand in front of a group of people at that stage and just say, wow, really think about the stuff that you're buying, because we're such a consumer. Everybody goes to the malls on Saturdays and Sundays, and they're always buying stuff. And if you really thought about, half the shit that we would buy, like, that it's going to take us like, we're getting there now, but there was just so much crap that nobody ever needed, you know? If you could be, just buy things that you actually, like my mountain bike.
Yeah.
Okay? I absolutely love my mountain bike. It makes me so happy. I get so much joy from it. It's so much fun. Buy that all day long. But we had like toys and crap that the kids wanted, and like 15 minutes home, they're not even touching it. And you're like, if you can really think about that kind of stuff in your 20s, and don't become like the regular people in the neighborhood are just buying, like he says, why do you need a new car? Really? You don't need that.
Yeah. I love how he breaks into the cost of a vehicle. And as he was talking cost of vehicle, the most inefficient vehicle is exactly what Ron drives, and the most efficient vehicle is exactly what I drive. So as he's going, I was like, I can't wait to have this conversation with Ron.
He
read the book first.
Refers to Mr. Money Mustache.
Yep.
In that area, which I thought was great too, because I bought this building, so now I still drive to work, but it's like a 5-minute commute.
And you could take the bike if you felt like it.
Yeah, I can take the bike. My only issue is I don't think my clients would want me to be sweaty and smelly.
Show up sweaty to the closing, yeah.
I used to have a friend of mine who did closing. He was like really big biker, and he'd get to the office off the bike path, and he had like wipes. And I was like, dude, that is so freaking gross. I don't know. Get a shower. You're a contractor. Go build a shower in your office. Space or something. You know, he's like sitting there wiping. I was like, dude, it's just. Oh.
Yeah.
It's that bike path between east side of Providence all the way out to Bristol.
Oh, yeah.
That's an amazing bike.
It is.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah. That's near your neck of the woods. Cool.
Yep. I used to go down to Cold State Park and ride it. So, yeah. Very familiar with it.
Exactly. Ron always goes to Cold State Park.
He loves it. You got me thinking about getting a bike, but I'm going to Florida. So I won't get it up
need
here.
A bike in Florida.
I'll have to get it down there.
Yeah.
Doreena's already the bike rack. We'll just toss it on there.
See, that would be a really amazing place to live. Would be Bristol.
Yeah.
Like I just love Bristol. Every time I go over there, like when we went to DeWolf Tavern, all the houses, and yeah, it's beautiful.
I think Ron wants to move there. He's done with all. He wants to get out of the city, get out to Bristol.
There's a really nice place. I think it's called Papa Squash Point, which is in that area. And like famous movie actor used to live there, Anthony Quinn. It's beautiful area, water. And even Brendan's, the house we went to meet at his house, that Herreshoff house right on the point.
Yep.
Oh my God, what a view! So,
beautiful properties, beautiful location.
Yeah,
I drove by it the other day.
Type in Papa Squash Point.
All
I think it's 2 P's, but I mean 3 P's rather. P-O-P-P. P-O-P-P. S-Q-U-A-S. Point. Yep, Papa Squash Point.
So, Mike, this Saturday, we've got 52 Weeks to Wealth. We're at Wealth Principle 36. Be impeccable with your word.
Oh my God, this is like this is the book that started it all. I mean, if it wasn't The Miracle Morning, which made us read this book, The 4 Agreements, is just, oh my God, it's if you just did one of the 4 agreements on a daily basis, your life would change in huge amounts of ways. Any of the 4.
Any of the 4. What are the 4 agreements?
Or the first one is be impeccable with your word, which means don't say anything negative about yourself or anybody else. And the second one is
don't take anything personally.
Don't take anything personal. That one I could really use.
All of us, always.
Right. And then don't assume anything is the third one.
Don't make assumptions.
And always do your best is the fourth one.
Yeah, I think you get those 4 in, you're fine. So that's this week's lesson. Be impeccable with your word. So it's first lesson, the first law of the 4 agreements, probably the most important.
It changes your life because you create your own reality. So the words that you say create what's going to happen. So if you complain all the time, that's just going to attract more of that negative stuff. If you are positive, it's amazing. I did, there's a book out there called the 21-Day No Complaint Challenge.
Yep.
It was done by a pastor.
Have you done the challenge, Mike?
I had the little elastic band on for a couple of days, but you're supposed to
21 days, no complaints.
21 days, no complaints. But the pastor who wrote the book and did all that, it took him 8 months the second time. And if you YouTube 21-Day No Complaint Challenge, it's funny to watch him. If I did it when I first did the YouTube listen to him, I did it for 1 day and it totally changed. My day was just so amazing.
I say it all the time. There's no shame in day 1, Mike.
Yeah, right? You gotta get
day 1 was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah. It's crazy how just your mindset changes your reality. And I don't think people realize that. That's how I know we are in a a simulator.
Yeah. Oh no, we can't get into that conversation. Elon Musk won't even touch it.
but
So,
but so if you're positive, suddenly all these wonderful positive things start happening, and as soon as you get negative or worry, all these negative things start happening, and
yeah.
it's yeah. What was I was driving by a church the other day. You know, I really love when bumper stickers or signs or just somebody you don't know says something, or maybe it's somebody you do know. It was don't. It was like a little billboard in front of the church. It says, "Don't dig up and worry what you planted in faith."
Yeah.
And when I drove by there the first time and saw that, it was like at the perfect moment for me to see that, because there was something that I was dealing with that I had planted in faith, and
Yep.
then I was backtracking with all the worry, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's so perfect! Thank you, God." It was just like it came right up, and so now
Accept
I've
it.
seen it.
What you want is coming to pass. So step one, save, simplify, cut down your expenses,
Yeah,
get to 25,000. Step two, turn that 25,000
to
into a
100.
house hack,
Yeah.
renovate, fix, rent, get higher,
Sure.
and get to that $100,000 savings point. And from that point, when you're between that 25 to 100,000, you start building your own business.
Yeah.
And that's where you and I are at. Where it's business after business after business, investment after investment after
Right.
investment. And that's where true wealth is built. And it's look, no day ever do you have to go to work if you've cut your expenses so low that your runway can like where oh my God, $25,000 can run you for a year. Like
Yeah.
you could
Yeah.
100,000 can run you for 4 freaking years if you can cut your expenses that
Yeah.
low.
I
You know,
get
if you
that's
can
the philosophy with me that's really changed is that I noticed that I don't want to buy stuff. Like there's really nothing that I like the crap that I used to buy. I just wish in my 20s I'd been like, yeah, I don't want to buy that. That's silly. You go place and you buy stuff. I don't even want to go to stores anymore. I like to buy books with Amazon
yes,
and there's something. Oh, and a Tesla. So
yes.
something. But the Tesla's going to pay for itself. So there you go.
And that's the other part that I wanted to mention before because we talk about stocks all the time. You and I are at that place where
Yeah.
stocks make sense. In the beginning, they don't make sense. And this book is super clear about it, that stocks make more sense later on. You
Right.
can,
Although he did say if you've got $10,000 and it's just sitting there,
right,
you have the risk tolerance. You could go buy stocks with that money, knowing that you may have to add to it. But it's not
100%.
it's not like we are. This is yeah.
And I love how he goes into how all the stock traders are doing all the research and they're doing all this. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's a minimum wage job. If you look at how many hours they're putting into it, the
Right.
stuff that we do, we love. Like we're having so much fun with it. It's
Yeah.
passive. It's in the background of what we're doing, but it's not where we make all our money. It's just they're
Exactly.
small plays. We couldn't retire off of any of these. Like none of these plays, I look at it and I'm like, well, maybe the
Oh.
Tesla one. That was a good run.
That one we'll see.
But
Yeah.
a lot of these, it's like if we're going to retire them off, we're not going to. You said it's a 10-year play, right? Tesla's a 10-year hold, so that's not the one, right? That's not how you. It's
Right.
one of many things you're putting out there, but it's a process, doing it the right way. But once
Right.
you've got to that financial freedom point, well, then you can do that. Then you can
Right.
experiment with this one, experiment with this, and keep expanding out your income streams.
Can you imagine even if you bought like one property every year for 10 years? Okay,
Yeah.
so your stock portfolio is sitting over here with a 10-year plan because you bought some Tesla. So that's a 10-year plan. And then you say, well, you know what? I'm really going to try to get as many properties as I can, but oh shoot, this year I only got one.
Yeah.
In 10 years, your retirement is done. You're all set. I mean, depending on what you want to do, but I'm just saying there's no worries about money at that point.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this about us, Mike, but Ron and I buy about 25 units every year. I was doing the math recently,
It's cool.
and it's crazy. We don't always keep all the units. Obviously,
Yeah.
we're at 60 right now, so we didn't keep them
Yeah.
all. We're selling more. But
Yeah.
it seems like every year we go and buy 25, and we keep it gets higher and higher. But that seems to be our comfortable number, which
Yeah.
is weird. Right? Like, where did that come from? But year one, we did
Love that.
25 together.
Again, I'm just going to model it because again, I've only been doing the real estate for 2 years, but it's I can see getting more as we go along. Because I only been doing it for 2 years, but the real estate that we own makes me really comfortable. It's just
Yeah.
kind of there. You know, today is the day we're getting lots of checks. We're getting
Yep.
paid rent and all that kind of stuff, and it's building on itself. It's pretty awesome.
And honestly, like if Ron and I didn't buy anything next year, we wouldn't care. It wouldn't
Right.
make a difference to us. The cash flow is there. The stock now with the stock portfolio is an additional ancillary income, and the training company is there, and the agency is there. So like there's these multiple streams where we don't have to continue buying real estate. People are like, oh, like you got to keep going, got to keep going. It's like no, we don't have to. We enjoy it. We genuinely enjoy what we do.
Yeah.
We'll do one big deal a year. We're not trying to buy 100, properties a year. We just, next year if we buy a building, it'll probably be 25 to 50 units, and it'll probably be in the South. If we go something big like that, it'll be in the South.
Right.
There's a good chance in Fall River we'll pick up, between 3 to 5, 3 families or 6 families. It's just what we do.
Yeah.
It's consistent.
For me, it's kind of just getting more connections.
Yeah.
So like I am building connections as we go, and they all seem to be paying off for me. So
You're
that,
seeing the deal flow now. You're seeing the deal flow. Deals are coming through.
Yep.
Yeah.
So awesome.
It's amazing, Mike. The more you teach, the more you earn. The more you teach, the more you learn. And it's absolutely crazy. The more people around you that you build up to do well, the 100 Millionaires, right? This whole podcast
100 Millionaires
is about teaching people. So this Saturday, me and Mike will be at the 52 Weeks to Wealth. The link you can find at GualterMo.com. And if you're interested in learning more, these are free events. 35.
They're right there on the front page.
Right there on the front page.
Okay, because I've
updated it.
I got a new wholesaler, and he's coming Saturday. So
yeah, I've just been sending everybody to GualterMo.com. Everything's on the front page now. You get the wholesale mastermind, working with investors, and Saturday's 52 Weeks to Wealth. It's all right there on the main page.
Nice.
Alchemist University is right at the top, so it's like we cleaned it up a little bit to make it easier for everybody.
Yeah, because everybody was asking me, where do I get the list of books? And I'm like, well, you go to this page, and then you do this, and then go to this. It was like, yeah.
And then right at the top, if you go over, it says 52 Weeks to Wealth blog, and you click on that, and all the books are there.
All the books are there. Awesome. I have to reread the 4 Agreements. It's such a short book, and
I'm okay with it. Yeah, it was a 3-hour book.
Yeah.
5-hour
This
book?
one I'll actually read because I've got like 10 copies of it at my house. We kept giving it away to people.
Me too. I think I have 4 copies just sitting here.
And isn't it a game changer?
I keep giving them away.
Your wealth principle, just be impeccable with your word.
Yeah.
If you don't say anything negative about yourself or others,
unstoppable.
It's so great, and you're just happier every day. We talk about being happy and that kind of stuff. And the other thing is that you can really hear other people when they're complaining. Like, did you notice that? Like, when you stop, then you're like, oh man, I'd really like to give this guy the 4 Agreements.
Yeah. When you stop, you see it in everybody.
Yeah, I just had somebody recently like that.
Yep.
She's got a lot of drama going on in her life.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, I wish I could just say, here, read this book and move on, So.
I got one of my best friends, and like I love, she texts me, call me, I'll give her a little bit of advice or listen. I listen most of the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to give you any one of the 52 books from this year would help you, or any one of them.
Right. That's the thing I always bring up when we're talking about the books is that read the 52 Weeks of Wealth books, because one of them will speak to you.
Yeah.
Whether it's, like I said, for the women, they always seem to love You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero.
Yep.
And what I love about that is that she said she read Think and Grow Rich and The Science of Getting Rich every single day. So if you read her book, you get all those concepts from her book. So it's cool.
Mike, we got a new challenge. We got to put it out to anybody who's listening, but especially I think the women in our mentorship program should take this challenge up. I think Brenda should be a part of it. Okay. Come up with a women's version of the 52 Weeks to Wealth. Okay. Because I know a lot of the books were written by men, and I know that for many of the women that come through, they're like, oh, well, this is a very masculine book, especially Think and Grow Rich.
Grow Rich, right.
Very, very much.
Yeah.
So if we can find 52 books by female authors who can fit the 52 wealth principles, which I know they're out there. I know they're
Yeah,
out there. It's just not the
absolutely.
stuff I've read, but I
Yeah,
know that we have in our community people who are reading the books, getting through it. So I think that we'll put the challenge out.
that's a great idea.
And
I'll talk to Brenda about it, but I'm sure that, Melissa Darling and Jillian and all those people, I'm sure that they already have an idea for several. So yeah.
I like it. And I'll put a little dedication at the bottom of the blog. I'll say this was, co-written, helped by, and
Nice.
everybody's name will get in there.
Yeah, you always give me credit for doing the 52. So yeah, somebody wants
I mean,
to do it. That's awesome.
You did a lot of it with me, Mike.
Did they get a plaque?
The plaques are coming. Only for the millionaires. Only the millionaires get a plaque.
Yeah, that's so cool. All right, we got to get going.
Yep, we got appointments. Mike, we'll do our coaching session either later in the week or later in the day.
Nice. All right.
Later, my friend.
It's actually not today. Today is my anniversary. Happy anniversary, Brenda.
That's right. Hey, 19 years married to your favorite woman on the planet.
Yeah. That's not bad.
That's right.
I am blessed.
You are. Mike, sign us off.
Massive income from passive income.
When you have a choice, always work with the best. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers. Have a great afternoon, Walter.
Thank you too, Mike.